Vanakkam students. Let we continue the same unit, periodic classification of elements. So already we have seen 4 videos in the lesson. This is the final video. Last topic we are going to see in this video. So let me recap what we had discussed in the previous classes, previous videos. In this lesson, periodic classification of elements, we have seen features of groups and periods, periodic trends in properties, metallurgy, extractions of aluminium, extraction of copper. In this video, we are going to see one more extraction is iron, alloys and corrosion. Let me see the objectives of this video. Objectives of this video: extractive metallurgy of iron, alloys, amalgam, method of making alloys, types of alloys, corrosion, types of corrosion and method of preventing corrosion. The last topic is pump and bridge. Extractive metallurgy of iron. So already we have seen the extraction of aluminium and copper. We have seen that method to extract aluminium or copper from its ore, uses of ore, uses of metals, physical and chemical properties of the metals. So let me see the occurrence where we have to get the iron. Iron is the second most abundant metal next to aluminium. It occurs in the nature of oxides, sulfides and carbonates. So it is the second most abundant metal. And what is the ores of iron? Hematite, magnetite, iron pyrite. And if you are seeing that the formula, hematite Fe2O3, magnetite Fe3O4, iron pyrite FeS2. See, what is the chief ore of this iron is hematite ore, and the picture of hematite is that ore. In this ore only the iron we are going to extract. Concentration by gravity separation or hydraulic separation method. So already we had discussed in the terminology or the steps or the separation of or concentration of an ore, that is the hydraulic separation method. The same process only we are going to extract the ore, extract the metals from its ore. In gravity separation method, the powdered ore is washed with a stream of water. So if you washed the ore by using the stream of water, the lighter sand particles and other impurities are washed away through the water and the heavier particles are settled down. So finally we get the heavier particles of the ore, that by using concentration by gravity separation. And the next process is roasting and calcination. So roasting and calcination means the concentrated ore, when we get it from the gravity separation, it is strongly heated in a limited supply of air in a reverberatory furnace. So in that ore it has contained some moisture. So if you are heated that ore means the moisture will goes out. And what will oxidize? Sulfur, arsenic and phosphorus impurities are oxidized. So roasting, calcination or concentration by gravity separation. So by these two separation is remove the impurities and also we have to get the concentration of the ore. Finally, what is that process is, the next process is smelting. So smelting process. Smelting process we have to did in a blast furnace. So in this smelting process, 3 region we have to separate lower region, middle region and upper region. So charge consisting of roasted ore, coke and limestone. So the ore is mixed with coke and limestone in the ratio 8 is to 4 is to 1, is smelted in a blast furnace. So we have to see the what happens in each and every region. In lower region, that is the combustion zone, when we take the coke and oxygen, carbon and oxygen, we will get carbon dioxide plus heat, that is exothermic. Exothermic means liberation of heat. And in the middle region, fusion zone, in this zone carbon dioxide combines with the carbon, we get carbon monoxide and heat. It undergoes under 1000 degrees Celsius. And calcium arganate, if you are applying heat, it will get the carbon dioxide. That means we have that endothermic process due to the absorption of heat. So in the middle zone, the heat will be absorbed, and we have to remove that impurities by using silica combined with the calcium oxide. Calcium silicate we have to get. In the upper region, reduction zone, ferrous, that means hematite combined with the carbon monoxide, we will under 400 degrees Celsius, iron plus carbon dioxide we got finally. So in these three region, each and every region we have to get each and every product. In lower region we are getting combustion zone, we are getting carbon dioxide and the liberation of heat under 1500 degrees Celsius. In middle region, if you are seeing the fusion zone, if you are seeing under 1000 degrees Celsius, that carbon dioxide combined with the carbon, finally we got the carbon monoxide. And calcium carbonate, if you are applying heat, it will take the endothermic process, that absorption of heat, we will get carbon dioxide. And if you remove that impurities in that area, that is calcium oxide plus silica. Silica if you add, that is that one process we have seen in the metallurgy, that is flux. So flux is addition of compound to remove the impurities from its ore. So silica is the flux to add the component to calcium oxide, it will get calcium silicate. The upper region, the reduction zone, where ferric oxide undergoes with the carbon monoxide in that temperature 400 degrees Celsius, we get iron, pig iron with carbon dioxide. So finally we got iron from that reduction zone. So this is the smelting process. Physical properties of iron. It lustrous metal, is a glowing metal, greyish white in color, and it has high melting tensility, malleability and ductility. Melting means we know that is a high melting point, high melting. Malleability means easily change into, we have to easily change into some other metals, some other not some other metals is change into some other product. Ductility also the same process, and it can be magnetized. We know iron contains the magnetic properties, so it can be magnetized. So what is the chemical properties of iron? First, reaction with air or oxygen. So heating in air, iron forms magnetic oxide. So iron forms magnetic oxide when we heated or reacted with air. And second one, reaction with moist air. When iron is exposed to moist air, it forms a layer of brown hydrated ferric oxide on the surface. So hydrated ferric oxide means that is rust. So if you placed that iron in the open place, it will react with oxygen in the presence of moisture in water molecules, that is iron react with oxygen in the presence of moisture in water molecules, we get rust, ferric oxide. So this phenomenon we called it as rusting. And the third chemical property is reaction with steam. So that steam is passed, the reaction with the steam means the steam is passed over the red hot iron. So red hot iron, if you pass the steam means magnetic oxide is formed. So magnetic oxide is formed when we passed the steam. So that is the reaction of steam. Next property, chemical property is reaction with chlorine. See, the iron combines with chlorine, we will get ferric chloride. And next, reactions with acid. First we have to see that iron reacted with dilute hydrochloric acid and dilute sulfuric acid, we get the liberation of hydrogen gas. So iron reacted with dilute hydrochloric acid, hydrogen gas is liberated, and iron react with dilute sulfuric acid, then hydrogen gas is liberated. And if you see that dilute nitric acid, in this condition what happened, that is ferrous nitrate will be formed. That is dilute nitric acid, ferrous nitrate will be formed. If this iron is reacted with concentrated sulfuric acid, means ferric sulfate is formed. So ferric sulfate, it will be formed in when it is reacted with concentrated sulfuric acid and sulfur dioxide. So if that iron is reacted with dilute hydrochloric acid and dilute sulfuric acid, means it will liberate hydrogen gas. If that iron is reacted with dilute nitric acid, means ferrous nitrate will be formed. When the iron is reacted with concentrated sulfuric acid, means it will ferric sulfate and sulfur dioxide will be formed. So iron is dipped in concentrated nitric acid. It is chemically passive to the formation of layer of iron oxide on its surface. So it is not a reaction, it is a chemical passive formation on the layer of iron oxide when iron is reacted with nitric acid. Alloys. So what is meant by alloys? As a definition, first we have to see alloys is a homogeneous mixture of two or more metals or one or more metals with certain non-metallic elements. Actually, alloy is nothing but is a mixture of two or more metals. So if you add two or more metals, we have to get alloys. Example, pure gold is too soft. We are not using the pure gold is directly to make jewels or other ornaments. So what we have to do, we have to add one more metal like copper to enhance the strength and utility of pure gold. So that is the example of alloys. So that is, alloy is the mixture of metals. Brass means it is a mixture of copper and zinc. Gold means 24 karat gold. It contains how much iron. See, gold is there. It's a pure form of gold. And 18 karat gold means we have to see some silver and copper metals in addition with the gold to make strength and what I said, beautiful ornaments we have to make it. 14 karat gold means gold, copper and silver. See, maximum of is a ratio is some proportions we have to use to make the jewels. So that is the formation of alloys. That means is an homogeneous mixture of two or more metals. Amalgam. See, amalgam is a new term. Actually, this amalgam is a word get from an alloy of mercury. So, amalgam is an alloy of mercury. Alloy is the mercury is the main component with another metal. So, amalgam is made with mercury and another one metal. So, these alloys are formed through metallic bonding with the electrostatic force of attraction between electrons and positively charged metal ions. So where we have to use the amalgam, and why we need this amalgam. So silver tin amalgam is used for dental filling. So we know that when we are going to the dental hospital, if any what we have to say in dental problems, we have any germs, fickings, anything if inside the tooth means we have to fill some alloys, that is silver tin amalgam alloys to fill that affected germs affected area. And why this reason for alloying? Why we need alloy? To modify the appearance and color. So if we need some appearance and color, so we have to use alloy. And modify chemical activity, lower the melting point, increase hardness and tensile strength, increase the resistance to electricity. So reason for alloying means, actually if you are seeing, if you mix with more than one metal, already we have seen gold, brass, copper and zinc, gold, copper, silver and gold. So if you mixed with these metals means it will its appearance and color will be changed, and its chemical activity also changed. And if you take the metal directly, if you are taking in the melting point, if you are taking into melting, it will take high temperature to melt. If it is in alloying means it will take the lower temperature to melt that metal, increase hardness and tensile strength, and increase the resistance to electricity. So if you are taking the metals, we know the property, it is conduct electricity and heat energy. But if you take the alloy, it will resist the electricity to conduct. So that is the reason for alloying. Methods of making alloys. First method, by fusing the metals together. So example, brass is made by melting zinc and copper. So fusing means two or more metals fused together. So brass is made by melting zinc and copper, and by compressing the finely divided metals, example an alloy of lead, tin, bismuth, cadmium powder. So compressing finely divided metals. And alloy as a solid solution. Alloy can be considered the solid solution in which metals with a high concentration is solvent and other metals are solute. So high concentrated metal you have taken it as a solvent, and other metals you have taken it as a solute. Solvent means which has to be dissolved. Solute means which substance which has to be dissolved in that solvent. And example, brass is a solid solution of zinc in copper. So zinc is solute, copper is solvent. Copper is an high concentration, zinc is a metals, it will take as a solute. So method of making alloys, how to make the alloys. So we know that is a mixture of one or more metals. So first method is the fusing of metals together. Second one, compressing the divided metals. If you take two or more metals, you have to take in compressing. And alloys as a solid solution. Solid solution means metal with a high concentration is solvent and other metals are in solute. If you are seeing, we have seen the various equipments, various vessels, it should be made as from alloys. So common types of alloys are steel, bronze, brass. Steel is a mixture of some other elements, and bronze, brass. Let me see the alloys, types of alloys. Uses of iron. See, first iron is pig iron. Pig iron means iron with 2 to 4 point percentage of carbon is there. Actually, this iron is used in making pipes, stoves, radiators, railings, manhole covers and drain pipes. So pig iron is used to make these type of components. And the next thing is steel. So in this steel, iron has to present iron with less than 0.25 percentage of carbon. Actually, it is used to construct the buildings, machinery, transmission cables, and TV towers, and in making alloys. So, steel has to be used in these areas. Alloys used to make alloys, construction of buildings, machinery parts, transmission of cables, TV towers. And the final is wrought iron. Actually, in this iron which contains 0.25 to 2 percentage of wrought carbon. Where we have to use this iron is making springs, anchors, and electromagnets. If you are seeing that pictures of this each and every iron is a pig iron, is directly pipes, and the steel iron it is the transmission cables, and wrought iron springs, electromagnets. So in this area we have to use the different types of ions. Based types of alloys based on the presence or absence of iron, alloys can be classified into ferrous alloys and non-ferrous alloys. Ferrous alloys means it is the major, iron as the major component. So in all the components or equipments, all the devices, whatever you have, it is the major component of iron is present. For example, stainless steel, nickel steel, it contains the iron as the major component. If you take the non-ferrous alloys, that is, alloys do not contain iron as a major component. So iron is not a major component of this product. So let me say aluminum alloys, copper alloys, the example of non-ferrous alloys which contains iron is not the major component. See, if you in the picture, if you are seeing the ferrous alloys, that is the iron major component alloys means various machines related equipments and also vessels. It is mainly contain the iron product. If you are seeing the non-ferrous alloys like cookers, cookwares, and other or aircraft tools, those these are all that objects which is not at all contain the iron as a major component. Let me see the examples of copper and iron alloys. So copper alloys is nothing but is a non-ferrous alloys, and aluminum alloys is also non-ferrous, and iron alloys fully iron as the major component, that is ferrous alloys. If you are seeing alloys brass and bronze is a copper alloys which can contains the non-ferrous, iron is not a major component, it contains copper and zinc. Uses if you are seeing fittings, electrical fittings, metal decorative items, statues, coins, bells, and gongs. Aluminum alloys, duraluminum and magnesium, where we have to use that aircraft tools, pressure cookers, aircraft scientific instruments. Iron alloys means stainless steel, utensils, cutlery, and automobile parts. Nickel steel, it's a fully iron component, cables, aircraft parts, and propeller. So these are all the examples of iron means ferrous and non-ferrous components. Corrosion. Actually, corrosion is the meaning of corrosion is destruction of metals by the chemical or electrochemical reaction with the environment. Actually, corrosion has to be taken place when the metal is you have to placed in the presence of air or water moisture, and some layers will be formed on the surface of the iron product. So that is corrosion. So destruction of metals by chemical reaction with the environment. Actually it is a natural process which converts a metal into its oxide, hydroxide or sulfide. It loses its metallic characteristics. And what is the meaning of rust? Rust is chemically known as hydrated ferric oxide, and rusting is the formation of reddish brown hydrated ferric oxide on the surface of iron and iron containing materials. Actually, what is corrosion? Corrosion is nothing but is a rust. How the rust will be formed? If you place the metals or iron related products and iron containing products, it is placed in the presence of oxygen and moisture. Little means it will take the long process. It will change the formation of some reddish brown hydrated ferric oxide will be formed on the surface of the iron or iron containing materials. Rest is one of that chemical reaction, and in the same process, if you are seeing the fruits like apple, if you cut and place it in the open place for few minutes, it will change the color. It is brown in color because the content what it is present, the iron content, it will be react with the oxygen in the environment, it will change that color. So that is the changes of formations of color. Hydrated ferric oxide, so rust, the metals how it will make a rust because of the presence of oxygen and moisture. So iron in the presence of oxygen and water, it will make a rust. So reactions, if you see the metals is going to distract by the reaction, chemical reaction of oxygen and water. Types of corrosion. Actually, two types of corrosions are there: dry corrosion or wet corrosion. Dry corrosion means chemical corrosion, corrosive action in the absence of moisture. So without moisture, the corrosion has to be taken place, means that is dry corrosion. It is a chemical attack on the metal by corrosive liquid or gases such as oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur dioxide, nitrous sulfide. So these are the what is that corrosive liquid which has to attack on a metal. So that is dry corrosion or chemical corrosion, and it occurs at a high temperature, and oxygen is the most reactive gas to impart the chemical attack. And wet corrosion or electrochemical corrosion means in the presence of moisture is called wet corrosion. Actually, it a result of electrochemical reaction of metal with water or aqueous solution of salt or acid or bases. So this corrosion has to be taken place with the presence of water or aqueous solution of salt or acid or bases. So it is a reacted electrochemical reaction. First one is dry corrosion, is a chemical corrosion. Absence of moisture, dry corrosion has to taken place. In this process, the chemical attack by the corrosive liquid or gases such as oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur dioxide. But in wet corrosion, in the presence of moisture, the corrosion has to be taken place. In this corrosion, water or aqueous solution of salt or acid or bases has to be reacted with the metal. If you are seeing air or water, air means dry corrosion, in water means wet corrosion. If you are seeing the dry corrosion picture, types of corrosion, dry corrosion means nothing but if you are taking the silver silver ornaments or silver vessels, if you are keeping open place, nothing has to take place, some gases, it will change the colors of that vessels. And if you are wet or electrochemical corrosion, ordinary iron materials, if you place it in the open place, it will react with the moisture and it change a layer of brown layer color on the surface of the metal. So that is the differences between the types of corrosion. Methods of preventing corrosion. Actually, what are the methods is an important topic. What are the methods to prevent the corrosion? See, we are using day-to-day life, we are using lot of metals in our building constructions, whatever area we are using lot of metals. But if it is in that corroded or rusted means it is not useful to the proper areas. So we have to prevent the corrosion. So what are the ways we have to prevent? First thing is alloying. Alloying means in the metals can be alloyed to prevent the process of corrosions, like example stainless steel. So stainless steel is not rusted If you are placing in anywhere any liquid or dry corrosion or nothing has to be happen because the metals is in alloyed. Second, surface coating. Surface coating, it takes various for types of surface coatings are there. First one is uh, galvanization. Galvanization means coating of zinc on iron sheets by using electric current. So if iron sheet, if you are coated the zinc by using electric current, it will prevent the corrosion. Second one is electroplating. Electroplating means metal over another metal. So coating of one metal over another metal by passing the electric current. So that is called electroplating. So if you are seeing the picture, alloying is a stainless steel. Surface coating, that means the galvanization means steel if you are galvanized means it is not rusted. Electroplating means using that liquid, copper sulfate liquid or some other electrolysis solution, we have to coated one metal over another metal. Anodizing. Anodizing is an electrochemical process that converts metal surface into decorative, durable and corrosion resistance. Actually, anodizing is nothing but is an metal is an method to prevent the corrosion. We have a lot of metals. If you change the metal surface into decorative and durable or corrosion resistant, aluminum is widely used for anodizing process. And cathodic protection means controlling corrosion of a metal surface. Protected is coated with a metal which is easily corrodable. The easily corrodable metal is called sacrificial metal, act as anode ensuring cathodic protection. If you are seeing the pictures of anodizing, if you take the metal surface, if you are coated with color items, paints, if you are coated with some other particles means it is very colorful and it is a corrosion resistant. If you cathodic protection means if you are seeing a pipe, what is metal pipe, if you have to do the cathodic protection means this that pipe is its lifetime is going on what number of years, we it will not corrode, it will not rusted. So that is the cathodic protection. The last topic of this unit is Pamban Bridge. Actually, Pamban Bridge is located in Rameshwaram. So, this bridge is connected with the island and the mainland. So, Rameshwaram island and mainland, it is connected the Pamban Bridge. If you are seeing, if you are visitor in the Rameshwaram, you have seen that bridge on that sea. It does not corrode, rusted because sea contains the sea salted particles, but it does not it does not rusted because of the usage of what is that metals. If you are seeing the picture, lot of years we are using, nearly how much years we are using this Pamban Bridge. So this is the longest sea bridge in India after the Bandra Worli Sea Link on Mumbai Western Coast. This is the second longest sea bridge in Tamil Nadu or India. Pamban Bridge is made by metals. Why that Pamban Bridge is given in this unit? Because the bridge is constructed by metals, and this bridge is located on the sea. Sea contains the salt particles, so air contains the moisture, oxygen, salt, but definitely it will make it as an rusted particles, but it does not make it as rust because of the product of iron content. So that is the best example of corrosion. So we had seen lot of topics we had discussed in this lesson, periodic classification of elements. In periodic classification of elements, how we have to arrange the elements in that table, periodic table, features of groups and periods, periodic trends in its properties, then metallurgy, terminologies, separation of metals from its ore, extraction of metals like aluminum, copper and iron, alloys, amalgam, corrosions, types of corrosion, and methods how to prevent corrosion. So these are all the topics we had discussed in these 5 videos. So my dear students, at least you have to watch these 5 videos at least 2 or 3 times. Fully you have to watch, then only you have to understand that what we had learned in this unit. So questions may ask in this video: rust and the formation of rust, condition necessary for rusting of iron, methods of preventing corrosion, reasons for alloying, uses of iron, and define amalgam. Thank you, students.